Welcome! In this video we will introduce you to Bootstrap. What is Bootstrap and why do we need it? Bootstrap calls itself the most popular HTML, CSS and JS library in the world. What is a library? Basically, a library is a file that consists of code that somebody else has written and shares, so you can use it. It is often focused on solving a particular problem and involves a collection of functions, variables, classes, or data structures. So what particular problem does Bootstrap solve? It takes a lot of time to build an attractive website and a lot of design experience, especially since nowadays it has to be responsive, meaning that it has to work on desktop and mobile and across different devices. Designers at Twitter developed Bootstrap to make it simple to build professional looking and functioning websites. Bootstrap styles our HTML elements so that they look good on all devices. They define layout, spaces, colors, sizes and many more things. Now let's see what this is all about and take Bootstrap for a spin. First, we need to go to getbootstrap.com. There are 3 ways of how we can enable Bootstrap. First, you can download the Bootstrap files, but you will get a lot of files. In the beginning, it might be hard for you to understand which ones you will need. Second, you can install it via a package manager. If you don't know what this is, you don't have to care about this at the moment. You will need to do this via the command line interface. Third, we can use the Bootstrap CDN, which means that it's hosted somewhere online for us, and we can just link to the Bootstrap files without having to download or install them. This is very simple, and it's what we are going to do. So let's click on Get Started, and now we can just copy this starter template and paste it in our index.html file. I will do pasting throughout our tutorials with Ctrl+V on Windows or CMD+V on Mac. Now let's enable our HTML preview, and there we have a nice looking heading. But now if I disable my internet connection and open it in my browser, you can see we are having a problem. Let's enable the connection again. So if you don't have internet all the time and want to play around with Bootstrap offline, you can simply download the Bootstrap dependencies. I will show you how to do this. Let's copy the URL of the files that we are loading from an external source. First the style sheet. On Windows with Ctrl+C, on Mac with CMD+C, and now paste it in our browser. And now we're going to save this URL, but first let's make a new folder, call it src for source, and save it. Now let's do this for the other files too. And finally we need to change the address, because now it's in our folder. And we can delete all these attributes. We don't need them any longer. Okay, great. Now if I switch my connection off, it still works. Okay, now let's have a look at what we can do with Bootstrap. Basically, for all important HTML elements, Bootstrap has a nice looking style. For example, if you need a responsive image or just a thumbnail, you can simply use these elements. Or a table, they often look ugly. But with Bootstrap you can just copy this code and paste it in your HTML file. That's very easy. Bootstrap has a style for everything. For badges or buttons, in all styles and sizes. I use cards a lot and forms. And there are also interactive elements like modals. If you need a particular HTML element, just search for it, like the navigation bar here. Again, we can simply copy the style and paste it in our HTML. So how does this work? You can see all the elements have special classes that Bootstrap uses to style them. In our navigation, for example, the nav, nav item or nav link class. They are all part of the Bootstrap library. If we go to the browser and the development tools, you can see all the different CSS values that are in the classes. But of course we can override this too with our own style or classes. We can make the text here green, for example. You will see we will do this a lot in our next videos. Now let's check out some example websites. Like the album looks nice, pricing here looks nice, and I really like this cover example. If you want to use them, you can download the source code here, and then you will find it under Site, Docs, the version number, and Examples. One last important thing that I want to show you. You see all those examples have a nice looking layout. This is achieved by the Bootstrap grid system. The Bootstrap grid system helps us to lay out a page, so we can easily choose where we want our elements to be. First, we need to create a container for the grid. The grid is a bit similar to a table element. We can specify the rows, and inside the rows we can specify the columns. There is a maximum of 12 columns per row that we can use. In this example we have 3 even column elements, with each 4 columns. But we can also specify how many columns a column element, col or col element should have. Like here col 6, this one has 6 of the 12 columns, the other ones have just 3. And we can even specify how big the column should be on different devices. We can say that on smaller devices like phones, which are smaller than 576 pixels, our element should have a different amount of columns than on a medium or larger device, where we have more space, like a tablet or a laptop. For that we can use these class prefixes. Let's see this in action. We can inspect the album element here, and we see that they also use the grid for the layout of their cards. Here we can see that each of the elements has 4 columns, if it's a medium or bigger device. So if we change this to a 6, now the element has 6 columns, but only on a medium or larger device. If we look on a mobile device, this doesn't apply. Okay, it might be a little bit complicated to understand the grid in the beginning, but after a bit of experimentation you will get used to it very quickly. I hope now you have a brief understanding of Bootstrap. In our next chapter, we will build our website using Bootstrap components.